on the subject of tantrums, what looks like a tomato and screams when stressed?
Oh. Is it me on holiday with my kids? That was meant for me. No one else got me.
Is it an Animal Kingdom one?
No.
Are we going to discover that plants scream when they're distressed? Is that what is it to do with that?
So what might it be?
Is it an actual tomato?
It's an actual tomato, 2 points. Absolutely right. So they did some research, 2019, Tel Aviv University, and they found that tomatoes emit ultrasonic screams when they are damaged or dehydrated.
Is that when they see the frying pan? When they hear someone say, oh, right, peckish, I fancy some breakfast.
I think it's actual damage. They're called stress vocalizations, and they are detected at 65 decibels, so that's the same volume as human laughter, but we can't hear it because it's a frequency well above our hearing range. The really weird thing is that things like fruit bats and mice can detect tomato shrieks from as far away as 5 metres and eat them anyway. Just not that bothered.
No pity.
But we don't really know how they make the sound, so probably what it is, the xylem fibres, that's the tubes that transport water and nutrients and so on from the soil, it's probably bursting air bubbles in the xylem fibres. They have tiny charged particles called ions that send electrical signals around the plant and alert it to danger, insect attacks, that kind of thing. And it is the thing that seems to make them scream. We just can't hear it.
There's a book called The Hidden Life of Trees, which is all about how trees communicate with each other and run themselves like a society.
I know this. This is
an amazing
marvellous.
book.
Yeah, it's amazing, yeah.
They turned it into a film called Avatar.
It is incredible that trees will share water. It's like a socialist system, a woodland.
It's like Denmark, isn't it?
It's exactly like Denmark.
It is. But they look at us, and to them, we're just like a fly flying by because of the lifetime of a human, just as a little existential thought.
So they're looking down on us all the time?
Yeah, all the time.
Well, I'm glad we turned them into books, then.
Yeah.
Look down and see.
That book you read about the secret life of trees, yeah? Got a little story about what that book used to be.
Yeah. Every time you turn the page, it goes...
Just return to the 19th century and think about false teeth. Now, what were false teeth made of in those days?
Wood.
Wood was used, supposedly.
Abraham Lincoln had wood
Washington,
false teeth.
Yes, indeed.
And he would fall asleep in Congress or wherever they sit. And they were sprung-loaded, these things, so if you relaxed your jaw, the spring would fire them out of your mouth.
That's absolutely right, they did.
Leap out.
They did have springs, in France in particular, there are holes in their gums, so they would sort of hang the tooth on it.
I was looking at my granny the other day and I had a really good idea, OK? This is what I'm going to pitch when I go on Dragon's Den, is to create some dentures that clamp shut every time they sense racism coming out. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? As soon as you start...
So as soon
you
as
get through a lot of Christmas.
I've got nothing against them personally, but...
I think the word "but" would be the key. Would be the trigger word. It would be. I'm not racist, but.
Yeah.
Teeth is the answer.
Well, yes, exactly.
I think they used teeth.
They did use teeth,
And
but
people
whose
used
teeth
it-
could they use?
What either did poor people sell their teeth?
Yes, poor people did sell
And
their
also,
teeth.
I think dead people.
Dead people, but a very particular kind of dead person. You are not allowed to rob a grave. But
Are we not?
Not a grave, no. So there are other places where you might... I know, it's disappointing.
I'm in a lot of trouble.
There are other places where you might find too many dead bodies of healthy young men, usually, who might have good teeth.
Battlefields.
Battlefields is the right answer.
Oh, how
what
depressing.
became known as Waterloo teeth? It became almost your patriotic duty, if you lost a tooth, to fit in that of a dead soldier from Waterloo. There were these scavengers who went around the battlefields pulling out the teeth of the dead bodies and selling them back in barrels, and people would buy them and fit them into the holes where their teeth were. And
Barrels of teeth. How many people died in this battle?
Well, thousands died in
Barrels,
Waterloo.
wow.
Yes,
Imagine.
And each head had 32 teeth in it. Yeah.
And the dead horses, their teeth were sent to the people from the Only Way is Essex.
Absolutely right. But right up until the American Civil War past the 1860s, they were called Waterloo teeth, even though, of course, that was, the Battle of Waterloo was in 1815, so it was, 45 years later. There's a story you may have come across in the newspapers not that long ago about a Polish dentist. Does that ring a bell? A female Polish dentist?
She got revenge on someone by
Her lover left her.
And she took out all his teeth.
Her lover left her and then went to see her when he had... Stupid idiot, went to see her when he had toothache, and she anaesthetised him and took all his teeth out. But apparently, it was in all the newspapers, and it's absolute bollocks. Can you imagine? Something in British newspapers that isn't true? No.
What she should have done is taken all the teeth out and then made a little hole in his scrotum and put them all in there. Just loose.
Of course.
And then sewn it up again.
I have.
Yes, that is a much better idea. I think we can all agree she missed a great opportunity.
What kind of tractor can't move anything heavier than an ant?
Is it a tractor beam?
It is a tractor beam.
No way, but it can move the Millennium Falcon.
OK, do you think it is just a matter of science fiction?
The Millennium Falcon?
No, not since you mentioned the ant.
Can it move a deck as well?
It can only move ant, not deck.
So we are talking about tractor beams. So those are devices that move objects using a beam of energy. Now, up until fairly recently, they were confined to the realms of science fiction. But Professor Bruce Drinkwater and his team at Bristol University have made one. It consists of hundreds of tiny little loudspeakers. They generate sounds that are louder than a jet engine, but they are too high-pitched for the human ear to be able to detect it. And these sound waves, they surround an object, holding it in place, basically in a sort of invisible cage.
An actual tractor beam?
Well, let's find out. Please welcome Professor Bruce Drinkwater. Right, Bruce, tell me what you are holding in your hand.
Well, this is the tractor beam.
I mean, it looks like a piece of wood with a bit of wire on it.
Yes, it's a low-cost battery-powered version. You can make it at home if you want.
Amazing. So, you've got in this box here, you've got little tiny polystyrene balls.
Yep, polystyrene balls.
So, if you just pick one up for us...
Oh, right.
And then just drop it down. We can see it just drops, right? And the idea is that you're going to use the tractor beam to make this hover in the air, is that right?
It is indeed, yes.
OK. Is it on?
It's not. I'll switch
I mean, I
it on.
can't tell. I have absolutely no idea.
Can you hear it now?
No. So, inside there, lots and lots of tiny little speakers, is that right?
Exactly. They're all outputting ultrasounds. You can't hear it, hopefully.
What could hear it?
Bats, dogs and cats.
Right, so the theory is that you're going to pick up one of these polystyrene balls and make it hover in the air.
Exactly. So, as you said, there's a sound field in there with a little quiet region surrounded by a very loud region. And so I'm going to try to put the little object in the quiet region.
You've just got to find the exact spot for it.
There we go.
Oh! That is extraordinary. So, like a magic trick, I want to know there's no wires or anything that I can't see. Can you show me?
Right, well, this is a wire loop.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can...
Wow.
Get it.
So what? That is extraordinary. So what's holding it in place?
It's the sound itself, making a very, very careful pattern, which is sort of a bit like where the particle is, it's like noise cancellation, so there's no sound. And then around it, it's very loud. So we've sort of sculpted a sound field around the particle.
So I think of a tractor beam as drawing it towards, but it seems to be pushing it away.
It might look like it's pushing it away, but the real proof of a tractor beam is it's got to be able to pull something, and that will mean that it beats gravity. So if I turn this over, hopefully you can see it's beating gravity. And if I press this button here, it will pull the particle up. No! Oops, oh, there it dropped out.
So what are the practical extrapolations from this? Could you make a giant one, for example?
You could make a giant one, and that might be able to replace robots, to make tiny things. All your electronics are getting smaller, so you want tools to be able to handle those. You can also make smaller versions of this that can move really, really small things, like cells and microparticles, viruses, potentially.
So you're looking at something in a microscope that you can't manipulate, but you might be able to with a tractor beam. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So at the moment, using a microscope is a one-way process. You look at something, but you can't really interact with it very easily. But with sound waves like this, all shrunk down into the microscope, you could. And you can move things, prod things, and you can even assemble them together, potentially to form the starting point for new tissues to grow, like new muscles.
It's mind-blowing. How much to make one of those for yourself?
This, the parts are about £100.
Wow.
That's not bad.
That's
We can
amazing.
club together and make one of those.
Yeah. Professor Drinkwater, thank you, Bruce.
What do you do with a pair of Allens? An Australian should know this in a way because it's one of the particular ways of speaking Australia shares with Britain, or particularly with London.
Alan Wickers.
Alan Wickers, Knickers. There you are.
Oh, we haven't heard that one, because we call them Reg Grandies Undies.
Oh, there you are. Here's a quite interesting thing about rhyming slang. I heard someone in a London market talking and saying, I'm not Listerine. And I said to him, what do you mean Listerine? And Listerine is an example of a sort of a rhyming slang that's moved on one, because an American in rhyming slang is often called a septic, which is short for septic tank.
Yeah,
Yank, which you've probably heard. So if you don't like Americans, you are antiseptic. And if you're antiseptic, you're Listerine. See? So Listerine, there you are. So, in the same way, while on the subject, you can have a rubber Gregory.
Oh, I love it.
Do you know what a rubber Gregory is?
No, a peck.
It's
Gregory Peck.
So
Rubber neck.
No, that would work as a rubber neck. It's actually a cheque that bounces. Because a Gregory Peck is a cheque, and so if your cheque bounces, in other words, returned by the bank, it's a rubber... It gave me a rubber Gregory. Do you like my earthy street London accent?
It sounds like such an idiot.
Yeah. So, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. In the right hands, even a meaningless two-syllable name can be made as frisky as a gay ferret in a pink blender. I leave you with one last Alan Bennett, who, when asked if he was gay, replied wearily, that's a bit like asking a man crawling across the Sahara whether he would prefer Perrier or Malvern water. Butterflies have ears on their wings. The ears of grasshoppers and cicadas are on their abdomens. Crickets' ears are on their forelegs. Where are a snake's ears?
I presume it hasn't got any.
Oh, very good. 5 to you.
They must be able to hear, because the whole fall of Eve, the serpent says, Eve! And she says, bugger me, a talking snake. And up the side, I do a little puppet to make it more interesting. It says, Eve, hath not the Lord... And she says, hath? What do you mean, hath? And he says, don't take the piss, it's not my fault I'm a serpent.
Before we get all the way up to Revelations in the end of the Bible... big Keith Harrison, Risty the snake, ladies and gentlemen. Snakes don't have ears. Maybe they can lip read. They don't have wings, and they don't, of course, have legs. Now, how would you go about washing the ears of an okapi?
With good cheer.
And it would be a happy okapi.
Yeah.
There's an okapi.
Just take it to the garage would be best, wouldn't it? Rather than messing around with Q-tips and all that, just pay the £4. It's got to be worth it.
With the hot wax. The okapi can wash his own ears, so you don't need to do it for him. His tongue can go all the way around into his ears and right inside, give him a good old clean out. There you are. Enormously long and versatile tongue. So, thank you very much for that. Now, what were the enormous ear-like growths that Galileo discovered in 1672?
Did he find them on himself?
No, he found them long, 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 long way away.
Asteroids.
Not quite.
Planets.
Connected there too.
Debris.
Yes, you could say debris, 380 foot wide, but thousands of miles long. Very, very thin, but hugely, hundreds of thousands of miles that way. The rings on Saturn.
String. Oh. He discovered the rings on Saturn.
The rings on Saturn, he spotted them on his new invention, the telescope.
And he thinks they look like ears.
Yeah, well, look at them. There they are. Not unlike ears. Well, the first telescope ever invented, and you see something, you don't see it that clearly with those colours. It's just that sort of roundy shape with the kind of internal whorls, and he thought they were ear-like. I don't think he's that stupid, is he? Yeah. All right. Sorry, Galileo, you don't match up. You may have discovered more about the universe than we will ever know. But no, not good enough for our panel.
Good telescope.
We will be able to tell much better arse jokes than you ever would. We owe our civilization to men like Galileo, and I won't have him mocked. Galileo was the first man ever to see the rings of Saturn. He couldn't understand what they were, and who can blame him? They are extraordinary-looking items, 172,000 miles wide, but only 328 feet thick. But more topical ear news now from the London Times. John Bennett, aged 36, a Londoner, was today ordered to seek treatment at a psychiatric hospital after biting off the ear of a Danish labour exchange official. The court was told that when the official recovered consciousness after the attack, he found his ear on a desk with a note that read, "Your ear." More likely being killed by lightning or by an asteroid? fruity, fruity.
Yes. Lightning.
Oh, dear.
No one's ever been killed by an asteroid. That's rubbish. Prove it.
No, oddly enough, I mean, I think it's all rather unfair, but because you answered it, in the UK, you are more likely. You're more likely to be struck by an asteroid, but in America, it's more likely to be struck by lightning. This is research into NEOs, near-Earth objects, as they're called, estimates that a large one strikes us once every million years. The resulting death toll is likely to be in excess of 1 billion. So the chances of you dying
Oh, please, that's never happened.
are 1 in 6 million in any year.
That has never happened.
No, but it's going to happen pretty soon.
No, it won't.
Well, more than 2 kilometres wide is all the asteroid needs to be. And we've seen certainly craters which show that there have been ones much wider than that. And it's due at any moment. But
where would you like it to land? I'd like it to land
wherever it lands, it's like hundreds and hundreds of atom bombs. It's going to destroy everybody.
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire?
They wouldn't mind. They'd just be delighted it didn't land in Lancashire. It come to Yorkshire.
Most people are struck by lightning on golf courses, right?
I believe that's true, yes.
My aunt got struck by lightning on the
You have an
golf
aunt?
course.
Oh, your aunt! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I do apologise. Pet aunt, you might do.
That too. She had a pet aunt. My aunt. Little pet aunt. She got struck between the first and second holes.
Oh, very good.
Something in her stance.
How can you tell the difference between a Scouse dog, for example, and a Scottish dog? How could you tell a Scot from a Liverpudlian when you met them?
Accent.
Accent is the right answer. Oh, you don't.
Oh, no.
Apparently, there's been a lot of research by the Canine Behaviour Centre in Cumbria, and you're going to possibly snort with derision when I tell you this, but owners and dogs left messages on the centre's answering machine. Experts then compared the pitch, tone, volume and length of the sounds made by human and dog. And they found that the Scouse and Scots dogs have the most distinctive accents. The Scouse dogs have higher-pitched voices than their equivalents.
I saw the other day that somebody's worked out that dolphins give one another names. You just don't. I mean, it's just calling him Peter. He isn't.
So you really don't believe it?
No.
I believe it, yeah.
Thank you.
You go, woof, woof, all right, or woof, woof, okay, the new.
So they're pretty stereotyped accents, aren't they? Well, of course, it makes sense. I mean, a dog does imitate the behaviour of the pack it's in other words, the family or the owner. So, for example, terriers that live with families with children become very manic, and the same breed of terrier, indeed from the same family, if it's with an old lady, will start shuffling along looking forlorn way before it's time.
Do they smell of wee?
Did they say how old they are? I'm 7, you know. Possibly they do.
I'm 8 next year.
Right, you've all got beside you a loo roll holder like this. I want you to put it on your right-hand side. Imagine you're sitting on the lavatory, and I want you to tell me which way do you correctly hang the loo roll? Do you hang it this way? Very controversial. Or do you hang... So imagine the wall is here, OK? Do you hang it...
You've got to hang it this way.
Why? Why have you got to hang it that way?
Just because, like, otherwise you're a godless prick.
That'd be a fantastic religion, this. The only commandment, thou shalt hang the toilet paper down from the left-hand side.
So the toilet roll holder was invented by an American engineer called Seth Wheeler in 1891, and you can see from his patent that he has made a decision and it goes this way. The truth is there are advantages to both ways of doing it. So if the loose end hangs in the front, it's easier to grab, but if you hang it the other way around, there is less chance of, I don't know, a child or a cat or indeed yourself accidentally unravelling the roll.
I always used to think should be at the back, and then in recent years I've changed.
I've gone to the front.
Yeah.
Well, what you could have done is you could have installed something, Alan, called a tilt-a-roll.
Oh, yeah.
A tilt-a-roll was invented in 1999, and the holder swivels, and you can orientate the paper as you please.
I have a toilet roll butler. Just... just stands there and let him just hand me, you know.
Give you a little
From
sheet.
your expression, sir, I would say that's 4 sheets that you're doing.
I've got a doubler with a magazine rack underneath.
Oh,
Wow,
that's
Jonathan
horrible.
Creek money. Is
Yeah.
'90s, innit? Cha-ching!
Perforated toilet roll was invented as early as 1871, but splinter-free toilet paper, OK, wasn't available until 1935. Before there was toilet paper, so certainly in the United States, before it became very popular, people used corn cobs, people used sheep's wool. Newspapers and catalogues, very, very popular, was the Farmer's Almanac, OK? In the early 1900s, there's the guy who edited it, can you imagine, for 59 years. It was published with a hole so that people could put a string on it and use it as toilet paper when they'd finished reading it. I mean,
Yeah, when they'd finished it.
Where does toilet paper come from?
Definitely not India. I can tell you that for free. Because we like the milk bottle.
Yeah, but you wash rather than...
Yeah.
But, well, 70% of the world's population do not use toilet paper.
Yeah.
And are horrified, absolutely horrified by the fact that we use toilet paper. There are lots of forums online where people not from the West say, is it true that Americans and Brits don't wash their arses with water after pooing, and just think it's disgusting?
People actually think, I've got a bidet in my house, and people say you're posh. Like it's some sort of...
Washing your arse is posh.
...act of social climbing. Sometimes paper just won't do it.
Won't shift it.
Here he is, Jonathan Crack.
Here's a riddle-iculous question. Why is a raven like a writing desk?
That's a quote, isn't it?
It is from what?
I think it sounds sort of Lewis Carroll or something.
It is Lewis Carroll. So it's a question that the Mad Hatter poses in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Why is a raven like a writing desk? And it wasn't originally meant to have an answer. And then, in a later edition, Carroll included this note: I may as well put on record here what seems to me to be a fairly appropriate answer, because it can produce a few notes, though they are very flat, and it is never put with the wrong end front. So what happened was, it was supposed to be an internal joke, because look at the way he spelt never. He spelt it like that, which is backwards is...
Raven.
Yes.
Raven. But the publishers incorrectly corrected the spelling, so the joke was completely missed. And, in fact, nobody noticed the error until 1976. But it's a meta-riddle. It doesn't mean anything.
I mean, is that really a riddle? It's just a stupid thing
You just
to
find it
say.
annoying?
Yeah, it's just, like, too smart.
There was a very popular one in the 1890s, when is a mouse if it spins? To which the answer was, because the higher it gets, the fewer. I mean, they're just ridiculous. They don't really particularly...
This is the sort of humour that develops in non-studio audience conditions.
Yes. Most famous riddle of all must be the riddle of the Sphinx, which is in Oedipus Rex. Does anybody know what the riddle is?
No, I can't remember.
Is it something about
as well as...
what walks on 4 legs in the morning? Is that right?
What has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? To which Richard Osman has suggested a poorly organised darts match. But you needed to get it right, because the Sphinx would strangle and eat anybody who couldn't answer it correctly. So there's some pressure, I think.
What if you were like, I don't care?
It'd just eat you.
Fine.
Yeah.
What is it, then?
Man who crawls on all 4s as a baby, then walks on 2 feet as an adult, and then uses a walking stick in old age.
No.
There's always, like, more than one answer, though, to every riddle, isn't there? Like, the one that goes, I'm tall when young and I'm short when I'm old. What am I?
Yeah. What?
Well, it's a candle. But it could also be, like, my Auntie Sue.
You're right.
Like-
and also, what happens is you get the answer and you think, I can't believe I
Exactly.
paid attention for
No.
that long because I don't care.
It gets really in your head, and then the payoff is so very little.
You really need the extra not being eaten by the Sphinx.
Yeah. The pressure.
Worth
Yeah,
bothering.
you need the stake.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. You need to be pressured into thinking, I'm going to shit myself if I don't get this right.
Yes.
With this creature.
It's not in my lap.
Does anybody know what it is?
It's an echidna.
Yes. Have you seen an echidna?
Oh, not only have I seen echidnas, I'm obsessed with them.
Why obsessed with them?
Well, because they crawl about in my garden.
OK, let me get this out.
The great...
Oh.
No, the echidna has... Now, I know you're going to get annoyed when I say this, because it's got 4 penises.
Not another one.
It's got 1 penis, and with 4 ends on.
Yeah.
So, you know, take your pick. And
That sport.
Yes. You're thinking of cock gear. That's what you're...
So they live in Australia and New Guinea is where they live.
And they're a mammal, but they lay eggs.
Yeah, that's true. This is an extraordinary example of an echidna. It dates back to 1828. It's from the Grant Museum at UCL, and it was lent to us by Tanis Davidson.
Is it sleeping?
Hang on,
It's dead.
You started this question by saying what's wrong with
Yes,
it. What's
wrong.
right with it is it's got 4 dicks.
But it's not for something else which are wrong.
Legs.
Oh.
Yeah.
4 legs.
In what way are they wrong?
They're facing the wrong direction.
How do you know that?
I'm guessing, Sandy. I'm really guessing.
They've had to nail its feet down to stop it flipping over and giving you all 4. Is it the toes should go that way?
Yes, so it's got its feet on back to front,
Yeah.
is the thing. So
Right.
they have what look like backward feet on their rear legs. So can you see the one on the right? That is correct, OK?
It's to make predators think that they're going towards them or something. It's like when you paint a face on your bum.
It's to enable you to dig properly so that you can scrape earth out of the hole much more efficiently as you go downwards. So the problem with this, clearly the taxidermist had never seen an echidna, OK? And it arrived, didn't know what it looked like, and it thought, well, those feet, for a start, they must be on the wrong way round. And it just put them where you'd think feet ought to go, but it's completely back to front. So in those days, an exotic specimen would arrive, you wouldn't have a photograph or whatever, it would probably be pickled and it would be incomplete, and the taxidermist's job is to put it back together and then stuff it. And if you've never seen the animal before, you would have no idea whatsoever how it ought to be displayed. The most famous example of that is one of my favourites. It's the Gripsholm Castle lion in Stockholm. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. He was a present in the 1730s to King Frederick I of Sweden. But clearly the guy who received the bundle of bones and whatever had never actually seen a lion.
Done there. He's got the lenses from a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah. I love him. I love him. And I have just discovered that Leo the lion has his own Facebook page. He has 7,500 followers, one more today. And I found his last posting. It was from Christmas. Have a look at this. This is a really pleasing thing.
Wow, that is terrifying.